Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Avni Ratan. I'm a consultant clinical psychologist and a lecturer. I'm here today to help you with the topic of research approaches that we adapt in abnormal psychology. Let's start with this. So, why is research required in abnormal psychology? Or why abnormal psychology research can be conducted in almost any setting. So, if you continue with the last section of the last discussion, it was apparent from the NCSR study that the lives of large number of people are affected by mental disorders. And to learn all that we can about these conditions, we need to conduct research. So, in this way, we can study the characteristics or the nature of disorders. And through research, we can learn about the symptoms of a disorder, its prevalence, whether it tends to be either acute, which is short in duration, or chronic, which is long in duration, and the problems and the deficits that are often, accompanying it. So, research allows us to further understand the etiology. Apart from the prevalence, it also helps us understand the etiology, which are the causes of the disorders. And finally, we need research to provide the best care for the patients who are seeking assistance with their difficulties. So, all of the discussions here would be focused on why we turn to research or literature to help us provide the most effective and up to date care for the patients whom we see. Students who are new to the field of abnormal psychology, they often assume that all answers may be revealed through scrutinizing the past case studies. However, when we study the individual cases and we derive the inferences from them, we are likely to develop errors in our thinking as we are to obtain the knowledge. So, one such error is that we often attend only to the data that confirms our view of how things are. As an example, we will be discussing about Dr. Smart and Dr. Not So Fast. So, Dr. Smart might believe that drinking milk causes schizophrenia. When we ask Dr. Smart why he holds this view, he might say it is because every patient he has ever treated who has schizophrenia has drunk milk at some point in his or her life. All right, so here Dr. Smart proposes that people who drink milk get schizophrenia, right? People who drink milk get schizophrenia. So, given that Dr. Smart has treated a lot of patients with schizophrenia and clearly has a great deal of experience with the disorder, we might be persuaded that he's right. Then comes into the scenario Dr. Not So Fast. So, here, Dr. Not So Fast decides to conduct a research study. He studies two groups of people. One group has schizophrenia. So, one group has schiz and the other group does not. Here, group 2 does not have schizophrenia. Here, Dr. Not So Fast asks all of them about their milk drinking habits. He finds that one has drunk milk at some point in his or her life, and that there are no differences between the two groups with respect to their milk drinking histories. So, as the simple example, it illustrates that research prevents us from being misled by natural errors in thinking. Here, the natural errors in thinking can be combated through research. So, in short, research protects investigators from their own biases in the perception and the inference. So, abnormal psychology research can take place in clinics, it can take place in hospitals, it can take place in schools, prisons, and even highly unstructured contexts such as the naturalistic observations of homeless on the street. So, it is not the setting that determines whether a given research project may be undertaking. So, methodology is not merely a compilation of practices and procedures. Rather, it is an approach towards problem solving, thinking, and acquiring knowledge. So, research methodology, it is not merely a compilation of the practices and procedures, but it is also an approach towards we look at research through problem solving, we look at it through thinking and acquiring knowledge, and we also acquire knowledge through it. So, research methodology, which is the scientific processes and procedures we use to conduct research, it is the scientific processes and procedures that we use to conduct the research. That is the definition of research methodology. It is constantly evolving, right? So as new techniques they become available, methodology in turn evolves. So what are the new techniques? Maybe the brain imaging techniques or the new statistical procedures which we use. These are forever evolving. So, now in the discussions that would follow, we would introduce some fundamental research concepts so that you might begin to think critically like a clinical scientist. Here, we would be considering the basics of the research in abnormal psychology. For the details, you could always study from the research part of the app. So, as humans, we often direct our attention to the people around us, right? So, if you were to ask to describe your best friend, or maybe your father, or even the professor that is teaching you the abnormal psychology class, you would undoubtedly have plenty to say. So, as in the case in virtually all other sciences, the foundation of psychological knowledge it stems from observation, right? Here, what is the foundation? So, the foundation of scientific knowledge, whatever you have to say about me, whatever you have to say about your friend, maybe your father, maybe some other person, the foundation of scientific knowledge would be observation. So here we would be now discussing about the fundamental research approaches that we adopt in clinical psychology or abnormal psychology. But for details regarding other research approaches, you could see the research section on the app. But for this discussion to start with, we would be talking about case studies. So, you might have heard the German psychiatrist's name, Emil Kreplin, and also the Swiss psychiatrist Eugene Bleuler. They provided us with detailed accounts of patients whom a modern day reader would easily recognize as having disorders such as schizophrenia, maybe manic depression, Also, Alois Alzheimer depicted a patient with an unusual, clinical picture that subsequently became known as Alzheimer's disease. Sigmund Freud, the founder of psychoanalysis, he published multiple clinical cases describing what we recognize as phobia. You could read the case of little Hans, and obsessive compulsive disorder. You could read about the rat man. So such portrayals, they make for fascinating reading even today, right? So these are case studies. So much can be learned when skilled clinicians use the case study method. Still, the information presented in them is subject to bias because the writer of the case study selects what information to include and what information to omit, right? So, in case study, here there is a bias because the writer chooses which information is included and which is excluded. So, here the writer is subject to the bias. Also, another concern is that the material in a case study is often relevant only to the individual being represented or described. This means that the conclusions of a case study have low generalizability. It can't be generalized. So here it is low generalizability. It can't be generalized to a bigger set of population. So they cannot be used to draw conclusions that other cases, even when those cases involve people with a seemingly similar abnormality, तब भी वो दूसरे cases पर जरूरी नहीं है generalize हो सके. So when there is only one observer and one subject, and when the observations are made in a relatively uncontrolled context and are anecdotal and maybe impressionistic in nature, the conclusions we draw are very narrow and maybe mistaken. So here, narrow conclusions are made. So, nonetheless, case studies are an excellent way to illustrate clinical material. They can also provide some limited support for a particular theory or provide some negative evidence that can be challenged, which could be used by or maybe challenged by a prevalent idea or assumption, right? So, here either it could back a theory or maybe it could, help in challenging the prevailing idea or assumption, or challenge prevailing idea or assumption. So, case studies can be a valuable source of new ideas and it can serve as a stimulus for research, and they may provide insight into unusual clinical situations or conditions that are too rare to be studied in a more systematic way. Moving on to self-report data. If we wish to study behavior in a more rigorous manner, how do we go about doing so? So, one approach is to collect self report data from the people we wish to learn more about. So, this might involve having research participants, complete questionnaires of various types. Another way of collecting the self report data is through maybe from interviews. So, first is how do you collect data here? Is the questionnaires, then interviews, And the researchers asks a series of questions and then record what the person says. So asking people to report on their subjective experiences might appear to be an excellent way to collect information, but this research approach has some limitations. So self report data can sometimes be misleading, right? Here, because the data has been given to you by the person, it could be misleading. Why? Because that people may not be very good reporters of their own subjective states or experiences. So, for an example, when asked in an interview, one child may report that he has 20 best friends, yet when we observe him, he may always be playing alone. So, because people will occasionally lie, they may misinterpret the question or the desire to present themselves in a particularly favorable or maybe unfavorable light. Self report data cannot always be regarded as highly accurate and truthful. So, this is something that anyone who has ever tried online dating knows too well. So, here we could always give an example of online dating. And if you still need convincing, ask three people to tell you their weight. They then ask them to step on a scale. How likely is it that the weight they self report will be the weight that appears when they step on the scale? What reasons do you think might be because of this discrepancy? Right? So, self report data here, the data could be misleading or inaccurate.